The next morning, the academy was buzzing with whispers. Everyone had heard about the fight, and everyone had their own version of the story. Some said Ryan had attacked Zarn first. Others said Lyra had used dark alien powers to hurt the Draviks. Nobody knew the truth. Ryan walked through the halls with quiet eyes. Every step felt heavier than the last. Students moved aside when he passed. Some looked curious, others looked afraid. He had been called to the headmaster's office twice now. The teachers warned him that expulsion was possible, but Ryan didn't care about himself. He was only worried about Lyra. She hadn't shown up to class all morning. In the cafeteria, he finally saw her sitting alone in the corner. Her hood was up, her silver eyes dim. Ryan walked over and sat down beside her. "You okay?" he asked softly. Lyra nodded slowly. "They called my name during roll. Then they whispered, 'Monster, witch, liar.'" Ryan clenched his fists. "They don't know the truth." She looked up at him. "Then maybe it's time they do." Ryan frowned. "You mean?" Lyra pulled a small hollow device from her pocket. "Last night I found something in the academy system, security footage from the cafeteria." Ryan's eyes widened. "You mean the day Zarn made you eat from the floor?" She nodded. "It's all there. What really happened?" Ryan smiled slowly. "Then that's our proof." But Lyra didn't smile. "If we release it, Zarn will know it was us. His father controls the Academy's council. We'll both be punished." Ryan leaned forward. "Or everyone will finally see the truth. Once people see what he did, they can't unsee it." Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Okay, we do it together." That night, the Academy halls were empty. Lights dimmed, and the sound of engines hummed softly. Ryan and Lyra stood outside the main data core room, the center of the school S network. Lyra placed her hand on the scanner. Her silver glow mixed with the red security light, and the door clicked open. "You've done this before?" Ryan whispered. Lyra gave a tiny smile. "You'd be surprised what a Valorian can do when she's scared." Inside, hundreds of holographic screens floated in the air. Streams of light and data moved like rivers. Lyra connected her tablet and began typing fast. Ryan stood guard by the door. "How long will it take?" "Just a few seconds," she said. "The system is protected by Dravik firewalls, but they are not as clever as they think." Suddenly, alarms flashed. A deep red light filled the room. Ryan turned. "They know we're here." Lyra didn't stop typing. "Almost done." Outside, footsteps echoed. Security drones. Ryan stepped forward, blocking the door. Lyra hit one final command. The footage appeared on the big hollow screen. Zarn pushing her, the food on the floor, Ryan helping her up. She sent it straight to the Academy's main network. Within seconds, it started playing on every classroom screen, every hallway display, every student's tablet. Zarn's cruelty was now public. The doors burst open. Drones surrounded them, lights flashing. Lyra and Ryan raised their hands, but the look in Ryan's eyes was calm. Victorious. The next morning, chaos ruled the academy. Everyone had seen the video. No one could deny what they saw. Zarn tried to say the footage was fake, but it was too late. Teachers, students, and even the principal called for an investigation. When the headmaster called Ryan to his office, his voice was different. No anger, only respect. "You broke school rules," he said quietly. "But you also broke the silence. Sometimes, that's the same thing as courage." Ryan didn't answer. He just looked out the window where students were now whispering not about fear, but about truth. Lyra stood beside him, her hood down, face calm. For the first time, people didn't look away from her. They nodded. Zarn and his friends were suspended. The Dravik Council was furious, but the truth was already out. Ryan turned to Lyra and smiled softly. "Told you. Once they see the truth, they can't unsee it." Lyra smiled back. "You really are strange, human." He shrugged. "Maybe. But strange is good." As they walked down the hall together, the camera zoomed out, showing the massive academy floating among the stars. For the first time, Hope filled the ship. But deep in the shadows, a voice whispered through a communicator. The Valorian girl has the core. Begin extraction. Days passed since the truth came out. The academy had changed, a little. Students no longer whispered monster when Lyra walked by. Some even greeted her with shy smiles. Ryan could see hope returning to her eyes. But peace never lasts long. Late one night, the ship shook violently. Sirens blared, red lights flashed through the corridors. Ryan jumped out of bed as the intercom crackled. Security breach. Unidentified craft approaching. Ryan ran out, heart pounding. Through a window, he saw it. A black warship with the Dravik insignia. They had come for Lyra. He sprinted toward her room. The hallway was full of smoke and flashing lights. When he reached her door, it was already open. Empty. Lyra, he shouted. A voice answered from behind. Looking for your alien friend? It was Zarn. His face was bruised, but his grin was cold. Two soldiers stood beside him wearing Dravik armor. Ryan's fists clenched. Where is she? Zarn tilted his head. My father wants what she stole. The Valorian core. She's being taken to the landing bay right now. Maybe you can still say goodbye. Ryan's eyes blazed. Not a chance. He turned and ran. Alarms screamed louder as he dashed through the corridors. Students were hiding in classrooms, watching from windows. Ryan reached the main deck, and there she was. Lyra was being forced toward a shuttle by two armored soldiers. She struggled, shouting, "You don't understand. If you take the core, it will kill you." Ryan didn't think. He grabbed a metal pipe and swung it at one soldier, knocking him aside. The other turned his blaster, but Lyra's eyes glowed bright silver. Energy burst from her hands, sending the soldier flying. The shuttle's engines roared. Zarn stepped out, holding a gun. You can't win, human. My father will erase your name from every system. Ryan stepped in front of Lyra. You already tried that. Didn't work. Zarn sneered and fired. Ryan moved, too slow. The shot grazed his shoulder. He fell to one knee. Lyra screamed, grabbing the core from her pocket. The crystal glowed fiercely, pulsing with energy. Stop, she cried. If I use this, it won't just destroy your ship. It will burn everything within 1,000 meters. Zarn froze. The air trembled. Ryan looked up weakly. Lyra, don't do it. Tears ran down her cheeks. They'll never stop, Ryan. They'll keep coming. He smiled faintly. Then teach them something they'll never forget. Not with fear, with strength. She looked at him, breathing fast. Then slowly she lowered the crystal. The glow dimmed. Zarn laughed coldly. You're weak. But before he could move, students began pouring into the bay. Dozens of them. They stood between Lyra and the soldiers. Humans, cyborgs, and aliens, all together. One girl shouted, "She's one of us." Another added, "You want her, you'll have to go through all of us." Zarn's face turned pale. The soldiers hesitated. The crowd grew. Lyra stood tall now, eyes bright again. You see, Zarn, she said calmly, you can't silence truth forever. Zarn stepped back, realizing the fight was lost. The soldiers retreated to their shuttle. As it lifted off, Zarn glared down at Ryan and Lyra. This isn't over. Ryan grinned. Maybe not, but you just failed the final lesson. The shuttle disappeared into the black sky. Silence filled the hangar. Then applause. The students cheered, clapping, laughing, crying. Lyra turned to Ryan, helping him stand. You should rest, she said softly. He smiled, wincing a little. Only if you promise not to blow up the ship again. She laughed, the first real laugh since they'd met. As they walked toward the observation deck, the stars glittered beyond the glass. Ryan looked out and said quietly, Guess you're not the only alien here anymore. Lyra smiled. No, Ryan. You're just human enough to be one of us. The camera panned out, showing the academy drifting peacefully among the stars, lights flickering like hope reborn. The room was quiet after the fight. Shattered glass glittered on the floor like small stars. Ryan sat on the edge of a metal table, pressing a bandage to his arm. Lyra stood near the window, watching the galaxy outside. Her hand still trembled from the power she had used. Neither spoke for a while. The hum of the ship filled the silence. Finally, Ryan said, "That thing you did back there. What was it?" Lyra didn't answer right away. Her eyes were still glowing faintly silver. "You weren't supposed to see that," she whispered. Ryan tilted his head. "See what? You saving me?" She turned to him slowly. "No human has seen a Valorian use power in over 100 years. We were forbidden to show it." Ryan frowned. "Forbidden? Why?" Lyra looked down at her hands. "Because the last time my people used this power, a war started. Millions died. The Valorians were blamed, and we were almost destroyed." Ryan's eyes softened. "You mean your race was hunted?" She nodded. "The Draviks led that war. They said we were dangerous. So my people hid. We promised never to fight again." Ryan crossed his arms. "And you broke that promise to save me?" Lyra's voice was quiet. "I didn't think, I just couldn't let them hurt you." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then I'd say that's a good reason to break a rule." She looked at him confused. "You don't understand. If the Academy reports this, they'll send me away. Maybe worse. If anyone finds out what I am, they'll come for me." Ryan thought for a moment, then stood up. "Then no one will find out." Lyra blinked. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "I'll keep your secret. I owe you that much." Her eyes widened slightly. "You'd risk that for me?" "Of course," Ryan said. "You saved my life. That makes us even." For a moment she almost smiled. Then her face turned serious again. "No, Ryan, we're not even. The danger is bigger than you think." Ryan frowned. "What danger?" Lyra hesitated, then whispered, "Zarn Asfather, Counselor Dravik, was one of the commanders who destroyed my home planet. If Zarn tells him about me, he'll send soldiers, not just for me, but for any Valorian left alive." Ryan went silent. The reality hit him hard. This wasn't just bullying anymore. It was something bigger. Lyra continued softly, "There's something else too. My grandmother gave me this." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small glowing crystal. Ryan sat in the nurse's room, his ribs aching. A cold patch glowed softly against his side, healing the bruise. But it didn't fix the anger inside him. He stared at the ceiling. So this is what happens when you stand up for someone, he thought. The teachers had blamed him for the fight. Zarn and his friends claimed he attacked first. No one believed the human. When the nurse left, Ryan stood up and looked out the small window. The stars outside didn't care who was right or wrong. They just burned quietly, far away from all the nonsense inside this school. The door slid open behind him. Lyra entered, her silver eyes worried. "They let you go?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, with a warning." Lyra looked down. "I'm sorry. This happened because of me." Ryan turned to her. "No, this happened because people like Zarn think kindness is weakness." He gave a half smile. "And I don't like that kind of thinking." Lyra wanted to argue, but she didn't. She saw something in his eyes, a calm fire that wouldn't go out. Just then, the lights flickered again. A loud clang echoed from the hallway. Both turned toward the door. "They're here," Lyra whispered. Ryan frowned. "Who?" The answer came before she could speak. The door slid open and Zarn stepped inside with his two friends. No teachers, no cameras, just darkness and the hum of the engines. Zarn smiled coldly. "You're a hard man to find, human." Ryan crossed his arms. "And you're bad at picking hobbies." Zarn's tail swished angrily. "Still got jokes? You should learn when to stop talking." Ryan's heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. "Funny, I was going to say the same to you." Zarn growled. "Hold him." The two Draviks moved forward. Ryan dodged the first punch, barely blocking the second. He swung back, hitting one across the jaw, but it felt like punching stone. Pain shot through his hand. He gritted his teeth and kept moving. On Earth, he'd learned how to survive in street fights, Never stand still, never give up. Zarn charged at him, knocking him into a table. Ryan hit the floor hard. His vision blurred. Lyra screamed, "Stop it!" Zarn ignored her, grabbing Ryan by the shirt. "You think you're a hero? You're just dirt under my boots." Ryan spit blood and smiled weakly. "At least, I'm not the one scared of a girl." That made Zarn freeze for a second, just enough time. Lyra raised her hands and light exploded from her palms, bright blue and wild like lightning. A shockwave burst through the room. Tables flew, glass shattered, and the Draviks stumbled backward. Ryan shielded his face, blinking through the glow. Lyra's eyes were glowing pure silver now. Energy hummed around her like wind and storm mixed together. Zarn growled, "What are you?" Lyra's voice was steady. "Valorians don't fight, but we can protect." Zarn roared and ran toward her, but the moment he touched the energy field, it threw him back like a wave. He hit the wall hard, gasping in pain. Ryan forced himself up and grabbed Lyra's arm. "That's enough. You'll hurt yourself." She breathed hard, her glow fading. The air around them calmed. Zarn's friends ran to help him, fear in their eyes. For the first time, the bullies looked uncertain, even afraid. Zarn glared at Ryan. "This isn't over." Ryan stepped forward, blood still on his lip. "You're right, it's just starting." Zarn's eyes narrowed, but he didn't reply. He and his gang stumbled out, leaving the room in silence. Ryan sat down, holding his ribs and laughing softly. "That was, something." Lyra smiled weakly. "I didn't mean to do that much." Ryan shook his head. "Remind me not to make you angry." She looked at him, serious now. "You shouldn't stay here. They'll come again. And next time, it won't just be Zarn." Ryan leaned back, staring at the flickering light. "Then we'll face it together." Lyra hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Together." The camera pans out. Broken glass on the floor, the stars shining through the window. Two unlikely friends standing against a galaxy that doesn't believe in them. Darkness filled the hallway. Only the soft red glow of the emergency lights painted the walls. Ryan froze, every sense alert. He could hear footsteps, 3 of them, echoing closer. "There he is," Zarn's voice growled. Ryan turned slowly. Zarn and his 2 friends stepped from the shadows. Their scaled faces gleamed under the red light. Ryan clenched his fists but didn't move. "I told you after school," Zarn hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." Ryan kept his voice calm. "You embarrassed yourself." That one line made Zarn's tail whip the floor. He charged forward, pushing Ryan hard against the wall. Pain shot through Ryan's shoulder, but he didn't yell. He had been in fights before, back on Earth. He knew one thing. Fear made bullies stronger. He stayed still, silent, unbroken. Zarn's friend kicked Ryan's bag across the floor. "Look at the brave human now," he sneered. Ryan met Zarn's eyes. "If this makes you feel big, then go ahead." Zarn blinked, surprised. He wanted to see fear, but Ryan gave him none. That made him angrier. "You don't belong here," Zarn spat. "Humans should stay on their dying planet." Ryan smirked slightly. "Then why are you so afraid of one?" For a second, silence. Then Zarn punched him in the stomach. Ryan gasped, falling to his knees. Pain exploded through him, but still, he didn't fight back. Zarn raised his hand again, claws ready, and suddenly, a sharp blue light flashed between them. "Stop!" a voice cried. Lyra stood at the end of the hallway, her hands glowing faintly. Her silver eyes burned brighter than ever. "Leave him alone," she said. Zarn laughed. "You again? Maybe you want to join him." Lyra didn't answer. Instead, the glow around her hands spread. A soft wave of energy pulsed through the air. The lights flickered back on for a second. Ryan felt the floor tremble slightly under him. Zarn stepped back, uncertain. "What are you doing?" Lyra's voice was quiet but strong. "Protecting my friend." That word, friend, hit Ryan harder than the punch had. He struggled to stand, leaning against the wall. Lyra's energy faded, but it was enough to make the bullies hesitate. The sound of metal boots echoed down the hall. A security drone was approaching. Zarn hissed in frustration. "This isn't over," he snapped, backing away. "Enjoy your victory, human. You won't have many." He and his friends disappeared into the shadows just before the drone turned the corner. Lyra rushed to Ryan. "You're hurt," she said, helping him sit. Ryan winced but smiled weakly. "I've had worse. You okay?" She nodded quickly. "I was scared they'd—" "I'm fine," Ryan interrupted softly. "You showed up just in time." They sat there in silence for a few seconds. Only the hum of the ship filled the air. Finally, Lyra spoke. "You shouldn't have done that. He could have really hurt you." Ryan chuckled. "He tried." Lyra looked down. "You don't understand. Draviks don't forgive. He'll come again." Ryan turned his head toward the window, watching the stars beyond the glass. "Then I'll be ready next time." Lyra studied him, this strange human who stood up for her when no one else would. She didn't understand him yet, but something about him reminded her of stories her grandmother used to tell. Stories about humans who had once helped her people long ago. She hesitated before saying, "Ryan, there's something you should know about me." He looked back at her, confused. "What do you mean?" She opened her mouth to answer, but just then 2 teachers arrived, followed by a security drone. They saw Ryan on the floor, bruised and bleeding. One of them frowned. "Fighting again, human? You're coming with us." Ryan tried to explain, but the teachers didn't listen. Lyra's protest was ignored too. As they led him away, Ryan looked back at her and smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." But Lyra didn't smile. She knew the truth. In this school, justice didn't come easy. She watched him disappear down the hall and whispered to herself, "You shouldn't have saved me. Now they'll come for you." The hallway lights dimmed again, and the camera panned out to the endless stars beyond the academy windows, cold, silent, and watching. The intergalactic academy floated between 2 suns, glowing like a silver star. Inside its shining halls, hundreds of young aliens and a few humans studied together. It was supposed to be a place of peace, but peace was not what Lyra felt that day. Lyra was small, quiet, and unlike the others. Her skin had a soft blue glow, and her silver eyes always looked down when others passed. She was from a gentle race called the Valorians, known for their calm hearts but not for fighting. To the stronger alien students, that made her an easy target. The lunchroom buzzed with laughter and noise. Plates floated on trays, lights shimmered across the metal walls, and voices echoed in a dozen languages. Lyra stood at the food counter, trying to hold her tray steady with her trembling hands. Behind her, a voice hissed, "Watch it, Sparkle Skin." She turned and saw Zarn, a tall alien with gray scales and golden eyes. His friends stood behind him, grinning. They were from the Dravik species, strong, proud, and cruel. Lyra lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Zarn smirked. "Sorry? You think that fixes everything?" He shoved her shoulder lightly, just enough to make her tray slip. Food splattered on the shiny floor, bright noodles, sauce, and fruit rolling away. The cafeteria went silent. Every eye turned toward her. Lyra bent down quickly, embarrassed, trying to pick up the pieces, but Zarn stepped closer and pushed the food with his boot. "Go on," he said loudly. "Eat it from the floor. That's what your kind does, right?" A wave of laughter filled the room. Even some humans looked away, pretending not to see. At one corner table, a human boy named Ryan stopped eating. His brown eyes narrowed as he watched the scene. He was new to the academy, quiet, strong, and not easily scared. Most humans avoided trouble, but something inside Ryan refused to stay silent. He stood up slowly, placing his drink down. The noise in the room faded as students noticed him walking toward the scene. Lyra froze, terrified that he would join in the mockery, but his face wasn't cruel. It was calm and serious. Ryan stopped beside Zarn. "That's enough," he said softly. Zarn turned, amused. "And who are you, human? You want to defend her? She's just a weak alien. Ryan looked down at the spilled food, then back at Lyra. Maybe, he said, but at least she's not acting like an animal. The laughter died. A hush filled the room. Zarn's grin disappeared. What did you say? Ryan took a deep breath. You heard me. For a moment, no one moved. The air felt heavy. Zarn's tail flicked behind him, a sign of anger. His friends whispered, waiting for a fight. Ryan bent down, picked up the broken tray and wiped it clean with a napkin. Then he handed it gently to Lyra. Here, he said. You don't have to eat from the floor. Her hands shook as she took it. Thank you. Zarn's eyes burned with rage. You'll regret this, human, he hissed. Ryan didn't back away. He just gave a small, fearless smile. Maybe, he said, but not today. The cafeteria watched in total silence. Then Ryan picked up his drink again and turned to the crowd. Next time you see someone fall, he said, try helping them up. He walked away slowly, his boots echoing across the metal floor. Lyra stared after him, her heart pounding. For the first time since she joined the academy, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. But as Ryan left the cafeteria, Zarn's whisper followed him like a shadow. After school, human, we'll finish this. The camera zooms out on Lyra's tear-filled eyes, a mix of fear and gratitude, as the music fades.